Hello, my friends. Welcome to Palacial Home audio blog. It's our live blog. And I just want to greet you today and tell you that we're going to spend some quality time together learning how to make our homes elegant and beautiful through do-it-yourself projects that are not only things you can be proud of, but they're fulfilling and affordable. I'm your host, Stephanie Engebritsen. Now today we're going to take a look at making a faux French wall panel. You know, I personally love the gilded French wall panel systems in the palaces found around the world, and it's something I've always wanted to have in my home. But, you know, to my dismay, I couldn't afford them, and they were just too expensive. So I began to look for ways that I could reproduce them in an affordable manner. And in my research, I found that they were repetitive patterns, which brought me to ornate picture frames. If I could find enough of the same style and could find them inexpensively enough, I could use them for the panel frames. However, that's really not a feasible plan because it would take a long and hard search to find and purchase at the right price, I might add, the perfect frames to accomplish that particular thing using that method. So, I wasn't going to have, I wasn't going to just throw that out. I don't want to toss that out with out of the window. I wanted to save it for a smaller area. I thought, I could use that in a smaller area that I didn't want to have a whole bunch of paneling, just maybe one or two, or maybe on a door. But anyway, I tucked that away into my little box of plans for later, and I continued my search. But the first thing that I needed to do then was to select the wall that I wanted to panel, and then measure it to see how many panels I would need. That would dictate the number of frames I needed to achieve to get the end result. So in my search, I looked at paneling systems you can purchase at architectural establishments like Home Depot, Lowe's, and other firms. All too expensive for me, though. So once again, I was on the search for a way where there seemed to be no way. In looking at pictures of wall paneling systems, I noticed that the frame actually looked like decorative molding. So I began looking in that direction, and I found beautiful moldings that were more affordable and seemed to be the way to go. Then, having chosen the pattern that I wanted to use, I needed something to put inside that panel. So here's where we can get really creative on a shoestring budget. Wallpapers. So, select a myriad of selections there, even using gift wrap that's outstanding in a pattern and colors, fabrics, tapestries, and if I want the more embossed look, then I turn to Sirocco pieces that are easily found on eBay, Etsy, and Amazon, and other places at very reasonable prices. I chose artificial greenery sprays that lay flat as if espaliered. And note this, that in the preparation of the greenery, you may find that you need to remove some of the branches, and if you have tiny leaves that are in a clump, they may stick it away from the wall too far, so you want to thin those out, get rid of them, just cut them off with your wire cutters and get rid of them. And then they'll lay completely flat as the pattern shows. So in other words, the piece should lay flat without trying to pull away from the wall due to an overabundance of branches and leaves that keeps springing it away. Now, if I had too many, it will detract from my pattern I want to make. So I have to just figure this out and then take each piece of the greenery that I have, which is done in a repetitive pattern as well when you buy that, You just make sure that you cut the same ones out so you've got the exact same stuff for each one. Okay. Now, in my search, I found that furniture appliques will fill around my focal point beautifully, which happens to be the Sirocco piece. So I laid out my pattern, decided how I wanted it to look. I even kind of sketched it, and I'm not an artist, but set it aside so I knew when I go to put it together, it's going to go that way every day, and every way, all the way down the wall. So now I just had to assemble my finds. Okay, now we have to gild all the materials. A spray can of metallic gold paint priced at under $5 was absolutely perfect. So be sure to spray the greenery, though, on both sides and any other pieces that might not lay totally flat when they're first applied. That way you don't have to go back and touch it up with a paintbrush and risk getting it on the wall. Now, making sure that the wall I was using was the correct background color was the next thing. I needed to make sure that it was either white, Navajo white, or cream color for me, but for you it could be any pastel. It should be a pastel. So I was ready to begin the application of the panel system. Now, the molding, which I now have gold, is cut into the proper lengths to construct the rectangle frames that will house the pattern within the framework. Do all the cutting ahead of time so that once you begin the construction, you don't have to go back and remeasure and then cut along the way. Remember to miter the cut corners too, because you're going to make a rectangle. Now you make your measurements and then rule off the top and the bottom of where your panel is going to be once applied to the wall. Make all those measurements and lines first through every single panel that you're creating. Okay, use liquid gold. I mean, not liquid gold. I'm sorry, that's not what you use. Use liquid nails to apply the frame top and bottom, and then add the two end pieces. Your wall should now sport a series of gold frames spaced evenly across the expanse. Let them dry. Next, we lay out the pattern for the focal point within the frame and place the centerpiece an equal distance from the top and the bottom and each side. Mark the wall where it's going to be on top and bottom. Do that in each frame. Now, using liquid nails, attach the centerpiece to the wall within the frame and let it dry. Using the furniture appliques and the gold greenery after measurements were made and the walls marked with the panels to make sure that they would be uniform, apply them in the pattern that you have designed and complete all the panels. The end result is fabulous, my friends, and you have the gilded French wall panel you want without the major expense. Now, I know that you thrifty types will find many, many more ways to achieve the look that you want as your creative juices begin to flow, and don't forget to share them with me. Okay, thank you for joining me. Cheerio.